MPT's HBCU Week approaching. We are joined now by Dr. Heidi Anderson, who is the president of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Dr. Anderson, welcome back to MPT.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to come back.
It is great to see you again. And for the uninitiated, tell us a little bit about UMES and the UMES community.
I would love to do that. For those people who are not familiar with UMES, the University of Maryland Eastern Shore sits in a very beautiful, almost 1,000-acre property here in the small town of Princess Anne, Maryland. That is between the Chesapeake Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. We like to say to our students that we're near the ocean because we're 40 miles away. But UMES itself, we are the 1890 land-grant university in the state of Maryland and in the system. And that's important for a number of reasons. I'm going to come back to it. But we have a host of bachelor degree programs, masters, and PhDs. We have a number of only or unique programs to our campus that are unique to the entire state. For example, we have the only four-year aviation science degree that students can get right here at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. We actually have the only certified PGA golf management degree program with our hospitality tourism management program. We have 8 health profession programs, more than any other HBCU in the country. And because we are a land grant, that means we have a lot of science for students who have that interest. Agriculture is our roots, and our students come to us wanting to major in the sciences. And then I'll say one other thing is that what we have been telling people and we're touting, we're very proud of, is in the last few years, we have become a top 10 public HBCU. And so that's a little bit about who we are. And I said I was going to come back to the town of Princess Anne a little bit. Like I say, being a land grant, it means that we are connected with our community in a major way. We are rural here on the rural side of the state, and we do a lot to engage with our community and help with solving problems in the community.
Well, if you don't mind, maybe explain the land grant idea. A lot of the big state universities are considered land grants, but you specifically said it's an 1890 land grant.
Yes, because every state, years and years ago, a senator by the name of Morrell, he created the land grant properties and put 50 of those in the country. Every state has a flagship typically that is a land grant in 1862. But then many years later in 1890, he recognized that Black individuals, Black people were not being able to be admitted to the 1862s, typically known as the predominantly white institutions, PWIs. And because of that, he says, we want to make sure we have a place for Blacks to go to get a higher education degree. So that's where the 1890s became. There are only 19 of those in the country, and we are one of those 19. We consider ourselves 19 strong and very unique because, like I said, it's only a few. But what that means is that we're grounded in the basics. Where we started was agriculture, mechanical engineering, teaching. And most of those, and ours especially, we have grown to become a lot more than that. But science is at the root of who we are. And it's important because agriculture is everything, from food to what you wear, to working with the climate. All of those things impact all of our communities.
And you're keeping an eye, you were telling me, on the Farm Bill, which is, let's say it's pending on Capitol Hill.
It is. The Farm Bill is one of the biggest appropriation bills that the Congress does every 5 years. So in 2018, they did a Farm Bill, and now we're looking at the next one to be appropriated in 2023. The reason the Farm Bill is so important to our viewers out there, anyone who's in low income, who gets food stamps, SNAP, the Farm Bill pays for that. The 1890s, we get funding from the Farm Bill for our scholarships for our students. And we also get funding for the extension services that we do. And that's where we connect with our communities, helping resolve those community problems. I'll give you one example of a problem. Farmers, especially here on the Eastern Shore, that's a critical component. And trying to help determine, how do you look at poultry litter and the nutrients that's going back into the ground and the problems that occurs? What can we do to mitigate that? What can we do to help farmers grow crops a lot more effective, larger, bigger, cost less, of course. And so that's what the extension part of the 1890 Farm Bill does for us.
Another aspect of UMES that brings in students from all over is the pharmacy program. Your PhD is in pharmacy management, and you're managing a large university, of course. But tell us about how the pharmacy world is changing, and the students that you're attracting to the pharmacy program, because within the state of Maryland there are very few options if you want to be a pharmacist.
That's true. You're correct. I have my bachelor and my PhD, both are in pharmacy. And the way pharmacy has changed from when I was trained as a pharmacist, you think about dispensing and going to a pharmacy, just getting pills in a bottle. Pharmacists do a lot more than that now. And I think people saw that, especially when COVID hit. You can go into your pharmacy and get your vaccine, which I do every year for flu in one arm, now COVID in the other arm. And that's something that pharmacists weren't doing years ago when you think about your pharmacists, but pharmacists are now trained to be in those clinical type focus settings. And we have our new pharmacy building that was just opened here in this January. We're so proud of it because now our students are being trained in this state-of-the-art facility where they can look at patients who are, these are simulated models of patients, including, we got a little baby over there. And they can learn how to work with real life problems right there in the classroom before they go to real settings. So basically, pharmacy has evolved to be a very, very hands-on, patient-oriented profession, and it's one that leans on the other professions. I have to put a plug here and say, our program is unique in the sense that it is a 3-year round. So my students here start in July, finish in 3 years, which means they're out in the workforce even faster. And because we're rural, about 40% of them stay in the rural environments. They stay here or go into other rural environments. And that's important because in many rural areas, you don't have a medical doctor. You don't have a primary care physician. And the pharmacist steps in and really helps in that role.
I'll tell you a secret. I got a vaccination just this week from my local pharmacist. It was the first time I did that. They did a great job, and my left arm's only a little bit sore. I only gave him one arm.
Was it your shingles shot?
No, it's
okay.
a long story. I considered that one. I wound up getting another one. That's still on my to-do list.
Well, I just got my shingle this year. It's a 2-shot deal, and I did it from one of our UMES pharmacy graduates here in town.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. Let me ask you a big picture question, because in the role of president of a university, you're meeting people all the time. You're seeing things on campus in the community. If I ask you in the last year or so to tell me about something that made you especially proud, and at the same time, is there anything that came up that maybe made you think that as a state, as an educational system, we're not living up to our potential just yet?
Oh, those are two extremes, Jeff. I'll be happy to. Let me start with being what has made me very proud. First of all, I have the pleasure, as I said, of being here and with a campus that I have really talented faculty and extremely talented staff, and they really focus on the student mission, and really students are at the center of everything that they do. One of the things in the last year that has made me proud is how my team has pulled together to recognize that everything we do is about the student and getting them retained here in our campus. Retention is critical. Coming out of COVID, we witnessed that our students had difficulty a little bit with adjusting to the academics. Some of them even had we saw a little bit upsurge in mental health issues. And it's not just our institution, but across the country. And my team has stepped up to do that particular work. Students need a little bit more time to take tests. We call, accommodations. Many of them need more support animals. Some of them are really cute support animals, the little dogs running around, but the students need them for a different reason. And so I have been very proud to see how my team stepped up to actually help the students, meet them where they're at, help them get the increase in their reading or their math skills, and deal with their emotional issues, especially coming out of COVID. The extreme side, what you said, somewhere where we're not living up to our potential, I think as a country, we're at the point, and it's very, very kind of sad in the sense that we're not living up to what we had and our grandparents had an opportunity to when they grew up, and that is get an education. We're not living up to the fact that as a country, we need to recognize that education has to be at the forefront of everything that we do. And the reason I say we're not living up to it is our K through 12 system. It's the public system. I don't even want to know the right word, but it's really abysmal what we're doing there. We need to put more resources. We need to recognize that our K-12 system is the foundation for students and for creating citizens for the world. And I think that's a place where we're not living up to where we could be doing as a country compared to other countries.
Dr. Heidi Anderson is the president of UMES. Delightful talking to you as always. We appreciate your time.
The same here, Jeff. Thank you so much.